affection between Mr. Demmons and particularly Christopher Thomas in this video. And we think for the sake of completeness, it should come in. Also, that it is also clear that it is something that was produced by somebody other than him. And to the extent that the state is introducing it to try and suggest that he claimed that it was a drive-by shooting, if the rest of the video is in context and completeness, that which the state has admitted for an improper purpose and a misleading purpose should be stricken.
Thank you. Madam?
Stand on the previous arguments that it's, for the purposes of sentencing, self-serving, has no bearing on what this case is about, all the statements of the mother, the grandmother, and all of those issues.
Thank you. Hold on.
Yes, sir.
I sustain the objection. All right, so you can have the whole thing marked up.
Yes, we'll mark it.
Thank you. So, you have your witness here?
We do, the court ruled on the judgment of the court.
Transfer ruling.
He's
I'm not ruling on it.
Okay.
All right? Want to bring the jury in?
You want me to go get the witness?
That'd be great. Thank you. Jury entry. Here, this is our witness stand. When you get there, just remain standing for a bit. Raise your right hand, be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please state your full legal name for the record.
Adrian Shard Davis.
Please spell your first and last name for the court.
ADRIAN
Thank you, sir.
Please have a seat. Mr. Davis, that microphone in front of you will adjust up or down, but does not move back and forth. Okay, you ready to go?
Yes.
Counsel, you may proceed.
Good morning.
How old are you?
24.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Objection,
No.
Your Honor, improper bolstering.
Thank you. I need to know an answer. Come side order.
Do you have a nickname?
Yes.
What is it?
AD.
Okay. First of all, take your hands away from your mouth because these folks have to hear it. Okay? Now, I need you to speak into the mic. Do you know someone by the name of Anthony Williams?
Yes.
Do you know what his nickname was?
Sack.
Do you know someone by the name of Christopher Thomas?
Yes.
Do you know what his name is?
Julie.
Do you know a person by the name of Cortland Henry?
Yes.
And you know his nickname.
Yes.
What
Board.
is it? You know,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
I'm sorry,
Board.
Bort, B-O-R-T. Do you know Jamell?
Yes.
Do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Would you point him out for us?
Right there.
This young man right here?
Yes.
Do you know him by another name?
Melly.
Do you know someone by the name of Trevon Glass?
Yes.
Do you know his nickname?
Fetty. Thank.
Do you know someone by the name of Jacoby Mills?
Yes.
And do you know his nickname?
Kobe.
And how about, you know someone by the name of Dontavius Withers?
Yes.
And you know his nickname?
Tate.
Let's start off with the first individual I named, Anthony Williams, also known as Seth. How did you meet him?
9th to 10th grade school.
How about Christopher Thomas? How did
Same.
you meet him?
During school.
Portland or Cortland Henry?
Met him in elementary.
How about Melly?
6th grade.
Trevon Glass?
Probably during school, 9th to 10th grade.
And his nickname was
Fetty.
Jacoby Mills?
Since elementary.
Okay. And finally, Dontavius Withers.
Down here. Fort Lauderdale.
So you went to school with Williams, Thomas, Henry, Melly, Glass, and Mills. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Everybody's talking. I'm moving. At any time during school, did any of you have any problems with each other?
No, not at all.
Would you label yourself good friends, associates, close friends, or what?
Good friends, close friends, best friends.
Now, did Melly also have another name besides Melly and Jamell?
Yeah.
What was it?
We only call them that those crazy legs.
Crazy Legs.
Yeah.
And why was he called Crazy Legs?
Because he liked to dance.
And that's why he got that nickname.
Yeah.
Was Melly a big kid, normal size kid when you guys were in school?
Small.
Did there come a time that Melly, and when I'm referring to Melly, I'm referring to this young man, Jamell.
Yes.
Did there come a time that Melly got involved in the music industry,
Yes.
specifically rap music?
Yeah, back then.
Now, you grew up where?
Vero Beach.
And do you still live up in that area?
No, sir.
Where do you live?
West Point.
And by the way, what do you do for a living?
My granddad owns properties, rental properties and stuff, real estate. So we just cut grass, paint, whatever we need to do, keep the properties up.
I want to draw your attention to the year of 2018. Did there come a time that you came down to Broward County, Miramar, Florida?
Yes.
About when was that?
I don't remember exactly, but I want to say probably like September, July, something.
Okay. And where did you stay?
At Jamell's house.
Who else was living at Jamell's house when you came down in August or September of 2018?
Me, Jacoby, Melly, Sack, Juvie,
Juvie was Christopher Thomas.
yes, Tay and Cortland.
And was Melly in the rap music business at that time?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Did you all get along together?
Yes.
Were there ever any arguments, fights amongst you guys?
No.
And is that where you met Dontavius Withers?
Yes.
And does he have a nickname?
Tay.
Who was paying the bills at the house?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Melly was.
Let's go to the day of October 25th, and so you have an idea where I am. This incident that we're here on occurred in the early morning hours of October 26th. Okay? And I'm referring to the shootings of Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas. On October 25th, the morning of, and during the day, what were you doing?
Just chilling at the house, hanging, smoking and drinking.
Who were you smoking and drinking with?
Jacoby, Tay, everybody who usually be at the house.
Okay. Williams,
Yeah.
Thomas,
Yes.
Portland Henry,
Yes.
Trevon Glass,
Yes.
Dontavius Withers.
Yes.
And were there plans to go to a recording studio that evening?
Yes.
Did you in fact go to the recording studio?
Yes.
And that was after you all were, for lack of a better term, smoking dope, weed,
Yeah.
correct? And having a few drinks.
Yeah.
What was the drink of choice, out of curiosity?
Hennessy.
Hennessy.
Yeah.
Who all went to the studio?
Me, Jacoby, Melly, Sack, Juvie, Cortland, Trayvon, and Tay.
Okay. Did you all go in the same car?
No.
Going to the studio, approximately what time did you get there?
I don't remember.
Was it during the day or at night?
At night.
Did you go in the same car, or were there two cars?
We took 2 cars.
What type of cars were they?
A Jeep and Mitsubishi.
What color was the Mitsubishi?
Red.
Will you tell this jury who got into the red Mitsubishi to go to the studio?
Me, Jacoby, Tay, and Fetty, Trayvon.
And who got into the Jeep to go to the studio?
Melly, Sack, Juvie, and Boyd.
Who drove? Do you know who drove the Mitsubishi to the studio?
Tay.
That would be Dontavius Withers.
Yeah.
Do you know who drove the Jeep to the studio?
I think Boyd did.
Okay, that would be
Cortland, yeah.
And what was the purpose of going to the studio?
To make music.
Did anyone fall asleep at the studio?
Yes.
Who?
We all did.
That was from the day of smoking weed and having a few drinks.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Did any arguments occur between any of you at the studio?
No, not at all.
Did there come a time that you all left the studio?
Yes.
Did you leave the studio earlier than what was scheduled?
Yeah, I believe so. So we were all in there asleep.
Will you tell the jury who got into the red Mitsubishi?
Me, Jacoby, Trayvon, and Tate, Dontravius.
You know who got into the Jeep?
Cortland, Jamell, Sack, and Judy.
Where were you going?
Home.
Did anyone fall asleep in your car?
Yeah, we about all did except for the driver.
Did there come a time that you were woken up before you got to the house?
Yes.
What happened?
We pulled over, and that's when Melly got in the car with us.
Do you know where you pulled over?
And I don't really remember.
Were you woken up?
Yeah, but
Why?
it was like, because I was getting pushed over a little bit.
And are you 100% sure that this young man got into the red Mitsubishi?
Yes.
What happened to the Jeep?
I think they just kept going.
Where'd you go? Did he have to unlock the door?
Yes.
Do you know who has the keys to Melly's house on October 26th in the early morning hours?
Jamell and Borton. They the only one who had keys to the house.
Did you have a key to the house?
No.
Did Williams have a key to the house?
No.
Did Christopher Thomas have a key to the house?
No.
Did Trevon Glass have a key to the house?
No.
Did Jacoby Mills have a key to the house?
No.
And how about Dontavius Williams? Did he have a key?
No.
Okay. So the only two people you know who had a key to the house was this young man
Yes.
and Cortland Henry.
Yes.
Did you see this young man unlock the door of the house?
Yes.
Who was the last person to get out of the red Mitsubishi to go inside the house?
Trayvon, he was in the car still asleep.
He was in the car asleep when you got to his house?
Yeah.
Did you see where Melly went?
To his room.
And where was his bedroom?
When you first walked in the house, it can't miss it. It's right down the left.
Okay. This is a 1 or 2 story house.
2.
Where did you go? Where did Dontavius Withers go?
Question.
I'll bring it up.
Thank you.
Do you know where Dontavius Withers went?
To his room upstairs.
Do you know where Trevon Glass went?
To the room upstairs.
Do you know where Jacoby Mills went?
He slept on me.
So the 3 of you, the 4 of you went upstairs,
Yeah.
correct? And this young man went into his bedroom.
Objection leading.
Yes.
Same. Rephrase.
How many people went upstairs to go to sleep?
30.
And you?
Yeah.
That would be,
Me, Jacoby, Melly. Well, no. Melly was downstairs in his room. Me, Jacoby, Fetty, and Tate. So 4 of us.
okay. And Melly went to his bedroom?
Yes.
Did there come a time in the early morning hours that you were woken up and heard some distressing news?
Yes.
What did you hear?
That second Julie was shot.
When you heard that, did you see Melly in the house?
Yes.
did you see Melly how he was dressed in the house?
Yes.
What was he wearing?
Shorts and a t-shirt, I think.
Okay. Upon hearing that Sack and Juvie, and I really should use the correct names, Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas, were shot, what did you guys do?
We were already dressed and stuff, so we just left with Fredo's house.
Was anybody upset or crying?
Yeah, we all were crying.
Was this young man crying?
Yes.
Are you sure of that?
Positive.
Your Honor. Last advisory.
And where'd you go?
Fredo's house.
That would be Fredo Bang.
Yeah.
Do you know Fredo Bang's real name?
No.
Frederick Gibbons, by any chance?
Yeah, I think I've seen
Did there come a time after you got to the house of Fredo Bang that Cortland Henry showed up?
it. Yes.
Did Cortland Henry tell you what happened?
Yeah, he said it was a drive-by.
Abstain.
When Cortland Henry arrived at Fredo Bang's house, was Melly there?
Yes.
Did you eventually leave that house?
Yes.
Approximately what time did you leave that house?
I really don't remember.
Where'd you go?
Back to Jamell's house.
Who went with you?
Me, Trayvon, Jacoby, and Fetty.
By the way, when you first learned that Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas were shot at the house with Melly, did anyone get on the phone?
Yeah.
Did anyone have any problem locating their phone?
Yes.
Who was that?
Jamell.
You, when I backed up for a minute, you were telling the jury that you went back to Melly's house.
Mm-hmm.
You got an answer, yes or no? She
Oh,
can't
yes.
shake- She can't shake down, shake your head. How'd you get in?
The door was unlocked.
Were you aware whether or not Melly had a contractual agreement to do a video shoot that day?
Yeah, it was something like that. I know he probably would have lost a lot of money if he didn't go to the music video. He was upset.
Was Melly crying at Frito Bang's house?
Yes.
Were you crying?
Yes.
Because you all grew up together.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you in fact tell this what happened on October 25th and 26th to this particular prosecutor?
Yes.
Were any of us, any of the lawyers present?
Objection, relevance.
Abstain.
Did you tell the prosecutor? When you spoke to the prosecutor, were you under oath,
Yes.
sworn to tell the truth?
Yes.
Objection, proper bolstering.
Sustained.
Are you 100% sure
Objection has been answered.
that Melly got into the red Mitsubishi to go home?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that this young man learned of the shooting of his friends at the exact same time you learned of it?
Yes.
And that was at the house?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that when people were getting on the phone, that this young man was looking for his phone to call people?
Yes.
May I have one moment, please?
Yes, sir.
I have no further questions.
Counsel, is there any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're ready to make proceed?
Yeah. Mr. Davis, you said you're 100% sure that Mr. Dennis found out at the same time you did.
Yes.
No questions about that. You're sure he was at that house?
Yes.
And you were upstairs?
Uh-oh. Yes.
He was downstairs.
Yes.
But you're sure he was there, you could see him.
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And you are 100% sure his phone was missing?
Yes.
Where in this statement on May 5th did you ever say that?
Objection.
This objection.
It was never asked.
Thank you. Counsel, so I guess the objection is improper impeachment, so rephrase your question. I sustain the
So,
objection.
you met with me on May 5th, 2022, you remember that?
Yes.
And you remember sitting down, you were present, that's a yes?
Yes.
Your two attorneys were present that you brought, that's a yes?
Yes.
And I asked you questions for quite a number of hours. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember being asked if you had met with anyone else with regards to this case?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember being asked if you had met prior to speaking with me with the attorney sitting over to my left?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know who they were, and my lawyers told you that.
Okay.
I didn't know their names.
But you remember meeting with them?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember asking and being asked a question about what you talked about with them?
Yes.
Did you remember what you told them?
No.
Do you remember what you told them now?
Yes.
So are you telling this jury that when you were speaking with me, you forgot?
As in, what I'm telling them now, as of right now, yes.
So on the phone on that, do you remember if Mr. Devins had a passcode on his cell phone back then?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? And in terms of, would you be surprised to find that there was one on that cell phone?
No.
Did you know the passcode?
I don't think so. I don't even remember if we had one. We all use this phone sometimes. We all use each other's phones.
So you would use his cell phone? Why?
Talk to females.
You pretend to be him to get women? Because you couldn't get them on your own?
Objection.
Why would you use his phone then?
Let me rule before you ask the next question, all right? It's overruled. Go ahead, answer your question. Go ahead, ask the next question.
So, with regards to your living situation there, you were not paying any rent, right?
Oh, no.
And nobody was paying any rent in that house except for the defendant.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So, do you remember that evening driving to the studio?
Yes.
Do you remember who was in which car?
On the way there, yes.
Do you remember who was on each car on the way back?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any threats that were made to anyone that night?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone have any other conversations or discussions about threats from outside parties?
No, ma'am.
Is anyone worried about their safety?
No, ma'am. But Melly's a rapper, you know, he's always gonna be a target.
I'm sorry.
I said he's a rapper, so he's always gonna be a target.
Okay. And do you remember stopping on the side of the road?
Yes.
Where did you stop?
I don't remember. It's like flashes and blinks, drinking and smoking, so I just know we stopped.
You know you stopped.
Yeah.
And do you remember if that was on a highway?
Not at all.
Okay, do you remember if it was on a divided 4-lane road?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember if you guys were using GPS to get home?
No, ma'am.
Okay, do you remember if you knew the route home?
No.
Okay. Do you remember what phone number you had back then?
No, ma'am.
You don't remember your phone number?
5 years ago, so.
Okay. Do you remember if you were awake or asleep?
Just told you. We were asleep.
You were asleep.
Yeah.
And you said you were intoxicated?
You didn't answer out loud.
Yes.
Do you know why your car stopped?
No.
Do you have any conversations or messages with the defendant?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a phone call with him?
No, ma'am.
When you stopped, was the gray Jeep in front of the red Mitsubishi?
Yeah, I believe so.
Have you ever answered that question differently?
I don't think so.
If I were to show you your statement from May 5th, 2022, would that help you in answering if you'd ever said something different than what you just testified in court?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, approaching with page 33 of the statement, counsel.
Uh-oh.
And you just read silently to yourself.
One line?
Lines 18 through 20.
Yeah. I basically told you I don't remember.
Okay, so now your answer is I don't remember if the Jeep was in front or the Mitsubishi was in front.
If you watched the video, they pulled off first, so I thought it was in front of us.
Oh, so you watched the video.
You showed it to me.
In terms of the trial, have you been watching that online?
No, ma'am.
Okay. In terms of when you got home, you mentioned that you said Mr. Demons went to his room.
Yes.
Have you ever answered that question differently?
No.
Okay. On May 5th, 2022, remember that statement?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, did you say, I don't know where he went? I assume his room.
I don't know.
You don't. But we made your statement, help refresh your recollection on that?
Yes.
Okay, page 34, lines 12 and 13, counsel.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you previously give a different statement that you didn't know where he went and you were assuming he went to his room?
Yeah. He went in the
So with regards to the car, you're saying that you got pushed over when somebody got in the car?
Yeah.
Okay. And with regards to being pushed over, did you wake up when that happened?
Like it was flashes. Like, yeah, I guess you could say I woke up.
Okay. And did they move you over or climb over you?
I don't remember.
Have you ever made a statement different than that?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay. Again, page 33. Question was asked, did they climb over to get you to the middle, over you to get to the middle of the back seat? Your answer was, I think I was at the window, so no, I think they might have climbed over.
Okay.
So is it your testimony that somebody climbed over you or you pushed over?
I mean,
Or that you don't remember?
yeah, I don't really remember.
You don't really remember?
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of the phone, right? Did you see anyone get into that gray Jeep?
No.
You remember going to Frito Bank's house?
Yes.
Okay. And you remember seeing the defendant there? Is that a yes?
Yeah, he was there with us.
And you remember leaving there afterwards?
Yes.
And you remember going back to the defendant's house?
Yes.
Okay. And you remember at that point that when you went back to the defendant's house, it was you, Travion Glass, or Fetty,
Mhm.
and Jacoby Moss. That's it?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And you said that you were in and out of sleep and intoxicated.
Yes.
And in terms of you remember that Travion was the last person to get out of the car?
Mhm. Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Do you believe so, or do you remember? Which is it?
Yes.
And you know, and you mentioned about Mr. Demmons looking for his phone, right?
Yes.
So of course he used your phone to call it and try and find it, right?
I don't remember.
You don't remember how he was trying to find his phone?
Just in the house looking for it, just like you would do if you lost yours.
So he didn't, try and find my iPhone or anything like that. Of course he used yours to do that, right?
I don't remember.
Of course he used something like, an Apple iWatch and set it up.
Objection, there's no testimony that he had
I
it.
don't remember.
Excuse me,
Okay.
one at a time, you asked the question, objection noted, overruled.
So of course he did all that. He went on, find my iPhone, and he's looking for it.
I don't know. I don't remember.
You don't remember. Okay. And of course he is using everybody else's phone to try and find it.
I don't know.
You don't remember. Okay. But conveniently the phone's missing that morning.
Objection to the form.
Sustained.
Yes.
I sustain the objection.
So with regards to your conversation, you had texted back and forth with the defendant prior to this event occurring, right?
Yes.
And he had sent you a picture of his driver's license from that phone number.
Yes.
So you knew Mr. Demmons, the defendant Melly, to use that cell phone, 772-713-9807.
I don't know what the numbers is.
You had it saved in your phone, right?
Yeah, but I can't just remember a phone number like that from that long ago.
And your testimony is that he's looking all over the house.
Yeah.
For the phone. So in terms of the phone, did you see it again that day?
I don't remember.
Don't remember. Okay. And in terms of the phone traveling up to the video shoot up in Cocoa, you don't know how the phone would have gotten up there.
I don't know.
And you didn't shoot Mr. Williams or Mr. Thomas, right?
No.
But you know who we're talking about, right?
Chris and Anthony.
Yes. And in terms of the messages and things for Mr. Henry, you're aware that his phone was broken at that time, right?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
In terms of Mr. Demons, you know he was dating Mariah Hamilton.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know that Mr. Demons would FaceTime her on a regular basis.
Objection.
What's the objection?
There's no evidence of that.
I don't know.
Overruled.
So you know, and Mr. Demons would,
Excuse me, use the correct name.
Mr. Demons, my apologies. Mr. Demons would FaceTime and video chat frequently.
Yes, that's what you got a phone for.
And Mr. Davis, you never met with Detective Mark Money? You never gave a statement?
No, ma'am.
And so the first time that you ever said anything about the phone being missing was today, July 18, 2023?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Nothing further yet.
Few questions.
Is there any regret? Go ahead, sir.
Detective Moretti never even talked to you during this investigation, did he?
No, sir.
And the bottom line is, at the time you learned that Christopher and Anthony were shot, Zach and Juvie were shot, this man was at his house, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you tell that to the state?
Yes.
And were they the first ones who contacted you about this case?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is this witness excused?
Yes.
Sir, thank you very much. You may step down. You're excused. Counsel?
We would, at this time, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need a few minutes with the attorneys. Do not discuss the case. Don't form any opinion about the case. Don't allow anyone to discuss the case in your presence. Certainly no research. All right? Just leave your notepads on your chairs. Thank you. Thank you. Let the record reflect the jury stepped out, counsel remained, along with the defendant. And I guess, Mr. Demons, I need to talk to you, ask you a few questions, all right? You heard what your attorney said. He said he's resting. No further witnesses. Do you hear that?
Yes, sir.
All right, now, I don't know what discussion you had with your attorneys. You've got competent lawyers there. I mean, you've seen them perform here. You've discussed things with them, I assume, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you understand that you have a right to testify, and you also have a right not to testify. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You understand that if you do testify, I'm going to instruct the jury that they have to consider your testimony as they would any other witness. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And if you don't testify, I'm going to instruct the jury that you have a right not to testify, and they can't consider that, hold that against you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So my question, I guess, is did you have enough time to talk about this issue about you testifying or not testifying? Did you have enough time to discuss that with your attorneys?
Yes, sir.
Did they answer all your questions?
Yes, sir.
And what is your decision?
I will not be testifying.
You will not be testifying.
No, sir.
Is anyone forcing you or coercing you to make this decision?
No, sir.
Anybody make any promises or on the contrary, make any threats to get you not to testify?
No, sir.
This is your free and voluntary decision.
Yes, sir.
So let me go further. You heard your attorney said he rests, he's not going to call any other witness. That includes you, but no other witnesses. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Is there any other witnesses that you wanted your attorneys to call and present to the jury?
No, sir.
Any other evidence that you wanted your attorneys to present to this jury?
No, sir.
You good? You satisfied with their performance?
Yes, sir.
All right. And everything that you wanted the jury to hear and listen to is before the jury. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Let me ask, State, are you going to call any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
So the State's going to rest as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened with Mr. Brendan Collins? He's not going to be used, I guess?
No,
The
sir.
defense emailed me last night saying that they were not going to be calling him and he could be excused. I forwarded that email to Mr. Collins.
Thank you. So both sides have rested.
That's correct.
And now the pleasure is we can talk about the jury instructions, but what about the closing argument? We're going to do that on Thursday?
Yes, Your Honor.
So I'll tell the jury that come back Thursday, that's what the parties agreed to, and tell them to pack a bag, and Tom and Gary, you're going to talk to the jury about that, tell them what they need and what they can anticipate.
Yes, sir.
Right? And about the cars, where they park the cars and things.
Yes, sir.
There's a whole host of things he has to go over with the jury when they come back on Thursday about food and things like, if there's special dietary things that they have to have and things such. They have a list they go over with. All right? So, yes, sir, you had
Yeah,
hand
as-
raised. Something to
as-
discuss?
Yeah, as a legal matter, Your Honor, we'd like to, at the close of the defense case, renew our motion for judgment of acquittal. and renew all other motions and objections made. But our argument is the same with respect to the judgment of acquittal, that no reasonable jury could find proof beyond a reasonable doubt based upon the evidence that was presented, and that it invites to give this case to the jury would invite a verdict based upon speculation.
Thank you. They wish we heard.
And at this time, the state would submit that reasonable minds could differ. There is plenty of evidence and out in front of your honors upon which the jury could find, and the jury should find, the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as to both defendants. If your honor wants additional information as to each element on that, but the state would submit that the case speaks for itself.
They asked me for.
Thank you. As I said, I'll defer ruling on it. So I'm going to bring the jury in and send them home. All right?
No
Yes, sir.
witnesses,
Let's
no
go
more
bring the jury,
witnesses
please.
is crazy, y'all. I'ma just get no more witnesses. Oh my God! Wow!
Judge. Now, we're in recess for a minute. Thank you.
This is it, y'all. It's about to go to the jury. You heard what Judge Murphy just said. Pack a bag. Make sure they pack a bag. They about to be sequestered. The defense called one witness. Let me say that again. They called one witness. They didn't call any witnesses to refute the medical examiner, the ballistic reconstruction expert. They didn't bring in their own cell phone tower person to say the cell phone tower evidence is unreliable. They brought in one of his childhood elementary grammar school friends as the only witness. And he was lying. Because the other childhood friend got up there and said Melly was not in the car. Now all of a sudden they done pulled over and Melly hopped in the car in the middle of the ride. Crazy. Crazy.
Yes, we'll mark it.
Thank you. So, yeah, you're with
Hey, Renee, you ain't lying, bro.
Ruled on the judgment of acquittal.
defer ruling. I'm not ruling on it. All right? I'll bring the jury in.
You want me to go get a witness?
That'd be great. Thank you.
Wow. So the judge, Bob Hiller, denied the whole tape coming in where the state argued 2 minutes of it proved that the ending was a sort of a confession when they said there was a drive-by shooting indicating that Melly had to be in the car. Right ruling or wrong ruling, Bob Hiller?
I have a feeling the judge just gave the defense on appeal a gift. You know, there was in the state's case a segment of this filming that was used really to advance the state's theory that this killing was motivated by some sort of gang relationship, and that what they excerpted from this suggested that and showed a gang affiliation. And, you know, again, I think the defense made all the correct arguments, and the judge's obligation is to make sure that the jury gets the evidence accurately and fairly. And if the state is introducing, and remember the state introduced it, and the argument that, well, we can't cross-examine, well, you can cross-examine some of the people in the video. You can cross-examine the people who were the producers of that video. You can't cross-examine the defendant, certainly if the defendant doesn't take the stand. But, you know, again, so I'm perplexed at why the court felt that somehow this was injecting an issue into the case that wasn't in the case, or that it was somehow going to mislead the jury unfairly from what the state already tried to show with a portion of this.
Yeah, probably the judge thought that agree with the prosecution that Melly could show himself in a very, Jamell Demons, that is, in a very good light without having to take the stand. And Bob Hiller says that is a major appealable error should Mr. Demons get convicted. Anyhow, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, more of the YNW Melly case, defenses in their case. Stay with us.
I don't know if I like this this station or whatever, y'all. I really don't, because the people, look, it don't matter what the state is trying to do in this case. It just seems like they always, I don't know. It just seemed like, especially that lady right there, I forget her name, but every time she say something, it's the defense this, the defense that, the state ain't. The state put on, they didn't come, look, Melly and them didn't try to refute. I don't know. I just know as a juror, if I'm sitting there and this man fighting for his life, y'all put on one witness and rest your case. The judge had to ask him, did you happy? Because he could have said, you know, my lawyers were incompetent. He could have got a mistrial some kind of way like that. That's a tactic, I mean, I think he could have used. Melly, oh my Lord. I don't know, man. I mean, if I was on the jury, I'd watch the whole trial along with y'all. My deliberations would probably be very short. But again, it's a lot of stuff that we got to see that didn't get introduced in the evidence. So with that being said, we're privy to a lot more information than the jury is. I mean, he's guilty to me. Definitely guilty. It's no other way about it. Now, if he get off, what's messed up is YNW Cortland Henry, he going down. He got gunshot residue and DNA and all kind of stuff on him. So he not beating his case. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The best thing he could have did.
You bring 3, let's get back on the record.
Oh, they back.
Jury entering. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Please be seated. Let the record once again reflect the presence of the defendants, Mr. Demons, his counsel, the assistant state attorneys, and the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. As you heard, ladies and gentlemen, the state is, the defense has rested their case. The state has no additional evidence or witnesses. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the state is also rested. There's no further evidence in the case. So what I need to do is get the jury instructions done. I need some time to do that with the attorneys, and then they're going to present their closing arguments. There's an issue we had here that I can't be in session on this case tomorrow morning, so my thought is we're going to do closings all in one day on Thursday, all right? So don't discuss the case, don't form any opinion about the case, don't allow anyone to discuss the case in your presence, and certainly no research. Now, when you come back on Thursday, Gary's going to discuss with you the sequestration. He'll talk about different things with you, what you need to pack and everything else, because typically on that first night, we're going to, you'll be in a hotel, all right? And that's the whole idea of sequestration we talked about a little bit before Dyer. So Gary's going to talk to you about it. He's going to explain where to park, what issues may come up, things like that, how to get in contact with us and things like that. If you have family members or friends want to get a hold of you, he'll explain all that, how that works. All right, so when you come back Thursday, you're going to bring a bag with you, all right? So, and Gary will give you more explanation on that as well, all right? So just remember the admonition we gave you, not to discuss the case, don't form any opinion about the case, don't allow anyone to discuss the case in your presence, no research, and we'll see you back here Thursday. All right? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. 9 a.m. Thursday.
Good morning, Judge.
Yay, yay. Yay, yay.
Let the record reflect the jury stepped out, counsel remained along with the defendant. Anybody need a restroom break?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
All right, so how about we see everybody back in about 10 minutes and we'll start with the jury instructions. Is that good?
Mayor, I gave counsel and Your Honor a memorandum of law and case law on the felony murder issue. I didn't talk about it briefly quite a number of months ago.
I don't remember, but I have your memorandum here. I assume you have it, counsel?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. We're recessed.
So, I guess we'll stick around for the jury instructions. Since we done watched everything else, they out of witnesses. We done got to the nitty gritty.
With some of that information because he had been interviewed after the fact by her, and he did not say those exact same things. He couldn't remember whether or not Melly was in his room or where exactly he was. But at the end of the cross-examination, there was a very short redirect.
Nah, Cool Breeze, I agree with you 100%.
Ultimately, the state and the defense, they both
previous
rested.
state
You told me
witness,
chronologically, so they
Travion
rested.
Glass,
Then after that, we
his
did hear the
testimony
defense
seemed
renew
more
all
accurate
of the motions,
as
the
far
motions
as,
for the
we were at the
acquittal and
house.
suppression
It goes
of
along with the evidence.
and even the mistrial.
You know what I mean?
Making sure that all of those
It goes
motions
along
have
with the
been renewed,
evidence.
making sure that they are protecting that record for appeal. So,
Cortland
bombshell
Henry
this morning,
shows up
it
at the
was a big
hospital
morning
with the
for
2
the defense,
victims.
and frankly, I'm
Melly's
looking at
not
this
there.
from the perspective
The
of what
Mitsubishi
evidence
is at
went
the Melly's
into
house
this
with
case.
all the
Not whether somebody's
occupants
guilty, not whether
inside the
somebody's
house.
innocent. The evidence this morning
They wake up to
basically
calls their
really
friends
supported the
being
defense's
shot.
argument that
They go to
YNW Melly
Frito's
did not
house,
commit this crime.
and Melly's
Oh,
there.
my
That
God,
makes
Terry,
sense.
so much the
It's
jest right there.
it's
Let
more
me ask
plausible
you,
than,
did the
oh, we was
prosecution
riding,
know in
and
advance that
nobody
this is the
else
statement of
noticed that
Adrian
this
Davis,
man
that he
slid
had
into the
told people
car.
and told them that indeed Melly had
we
left
don't know why
the
he got
Jeep,
in
the
the
gray Jeep,
car.
and gotten into the red
We don't know where the
Mitsubishi
other
before
car
the shooting.
went.
Linda,
It just
that
don't
is
seem
an excellent
plausible to me.
question, and
I
the
mean,
answer
if
is
I'm on
yes,
the
the
jury,
prosecution
I don't want
knew
Melly to
because
go
that
to
question
prison
was
or
asked by the
get
defense.
the capital
Did you tell
punishment
the prosecutor?
if
Did
he
you
didn't
tell
do
Ms.
it.
Bradley that
But
Melly
come
got
on,
out
man.
of the car and came into the red Mitsubishi? And the answer to that was yes. There was another piece of information that I thought was interesting as well. The defense confirmed that Mark Moretti did not investigate, did not interview, did not talk to Adrian Davis. And even though Adrian Davis said to the prosecutor, listen, this is what occurred, that was not followed up. So again, I think it was another point. Again, I'm just looking at the evidence. I'm looking at what's coming in, and based on what came in this morning, that was a point for the defense.
And indeed, the prosecution and defense
See, look at
wrangled
them.
over an issue
They love
of
saying, "Oh, the
alleged
defense
confession
won
yesterday
with
with the
this."
word I
I don't know if they
that
see, maybe because they,
and it turns
the
out
jury
that,
is not legal experts like
Adrian
these
Davis
people.
said
Jury
that
are
Melly was
people
looking
like
for
us.
his son, so that would
And people
also
like
help
us,
the
I guess, see through the
defense. wouldn't it?
BS. Average
I mean,
lay
that
people, civilians.
Statement, I did that. That was read into evidence yesterday by Mark Moretti, and I do think that that was a point for the prosecution. But if you recall, Gambino was talking to him. He asked him, was he okay? Melly responded, theoretically, I did that. It was out of context. Frankly, I'm not sure what that jury is thinking. I don't know what to think about that. I'm not sure that's a response to a question, are you okay? So I don't know what the jury is going to make of that. Obviously, that's evidence, in my opinion, that helps the prosecution, and perhaps the jury will look at that as though it's some sort of admission. But it was a message that was a bit out of context as far as I'm concerned. That did not come back up today. Today, the first thing they talked about this morning, if you recall, was whether or not that documentary would come into evidence. The judge listened to the entire documentary. The only portions that the prosecution introduced were the beginning and the end. The beginning basically just showed Melly sort of playing around in the car, driving, saying, look, everybody follows me, everybody listens to me because I'm good. I've studied my trade, you know, and I know what I'm doing here as far as being a rapper. And then the very end, the prosecution also earlier admitted that into evidence, where there was the message at the end that said that all of them were targets of a shooting, and that obviously Juvie Sack didn't survive. So they wanted to put the whole video in today. That's what the defense started out with this morning. The judge listened. The judge said, no, I think it's not relevant. It's self-serving. Those are the things that the prosecution argued, and the prosecution won that argument.
Yeah, but they didn't win the argument of Adrian Davis coming in and saying, I told the prosecutor that indeed Melly had left the car, and no one, including the lead detective, had interviewed me. Terry, very interesting morning. I'm going to let you go. We're going to digest this here. But wow, defense is rested with some bombshell testimony. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Linda.
And right now, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Bob Hilla is
Was it
here.
really
He is the
bombshell?
former president of
Was
the
it
New Jersey State Bar Association. He's written a lot of
bombshell
articles about
testimony?
trial
I
advocacy.
don't like this
He's
lady.
going to
I'm gonna
break
just keep
this
it real.
down for us
I
on
do
the other
not
side.
like this
YNW
lady.
Melly, bombshell testimony. Stay with us.
Oh my God.
Oh my God! Wow! Oh my God!
Yeah, y'all. That she irritates me. She irritates me, y'all. That lady, man. That lady. Right. So look, let's just say this. Even remember they said they were asleep, right? Even if the defense says, oh, all the occupants of the vehicle were asleep, maybe they didn't notice Melly got in the car. Well, you would have noticed when you pulled up to the gate, right? Because remember they said, oh, Travion Glass said, oh, we were awakened when I woke up when we got to the gate. You would have noticed when you got out the car. Like, come on, man. And that's your only witness? That's your only witness. If I was a juror, that's all I would be thinking about. Y'all just had one witness? because I don't think they did a good enough job refuting a ballistics expert. How do you explain that? You couldn't find one. Now, this how you know this channel be kind of low-key cheating, right? You remember they was saying through the whole trial, oh, they're going to bring in, I can go back, because you know we got it on tape. All these experts said, oh yeah, they're going to bring in their own expert to refute that testimony. What? They said that during the whole time, the ballistics reconstruction dude and the chief medical examiner, both of the ladies that got up there, both the medical examiners, they were saying throughout the whole thing, oh, they got to put up somebody. Yeah, I'm sure the defense is going to, one witness, your grammar school friend, man. Beat it. Beat it. Everybody want. This is what's so wild. Is that's how society is. That people want somebody that would commit something like this to go free. That's wild. That's wild. And even if Cortland Henry did it, look, Cortland Henry just out of nowhere did this to two of your best friends from grammar school, elementary school. And y'all all met up at Fredo Bang House afterwards. And the other two dudes, the dude that just took the stand and all these people was okay with that. This is wild. Society is flawed, like majorly. And I don't see it changing no time soon. I really don't. Just think about that, y'all. Think about that. Because if Melly didn't do it, the state is saying, well, the state believes that Melly was actually the trigger man, right? But let's just say he didn't. Then Cortland Henry was the perpetrator. And if that's the case, nobody had an issue with that. Melly didn't have an issue with that when Cortland showed up to Fredo Bang House. I mean, people feel like he gonna get off. Hey, you know what I noticed? Because the only way we have any kind of insight to anything to do with the jury, I mean, at this point, we know there's two. We know that there's two African American juries for sure. There's two. I don't know how that's gonna play in his favor or against him, but we do know that. Both female at that.
Davis, that microphone in front of you will adjust up or down, but does not move back and forth. Okay, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Counsel, you may proceed.
Good morning. How old are you?
24.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Objection,
No.
Your Honor, and proper posture.
Thank you. I need to know an answer. Come sign one.
Nickname?
Yes.
What is it?
AD.
Okay. First of all, take your hands away from your mouth because these folks have to hear it. Okay? Now I need you to speak into the mic. Do you know someone by the name of Anthony Williams?
Yes.
You know his
Facts.
nickname?
Facts.
Sack.
Do you know someone by the name of Christopher Thomas?
Yes.
Do you know what his name is?
Juby.
Do you know a person by the name of Cortland Henry?
Yes.
And you know his nickname?
Yes.
What is it? You know,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
I'm sorry,
Board.
Bort, B-O-R-T. Do you know Jamell?
Yes.
Do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Would you point him out for us?
Right there.
This young man right here?
Yes.
Do you know him by another name?
Melly.
Do you know someone by the name of Trevon Glass?
Yes.
Do you know his nickname?
Fetty.
Do you know someone by the name of Jacoby Mills?
Yes.
And do you know his nickname?
Kobe.
And how about, do you know someone by the name of Dontavius Withers?
Yes.
And you know his nickname?
Tate.
Let's start off with the first individual I named, Anthony Williams, also known as Seth. How did you meet him?
9th, 10th grade school.
How about Christopher Thomas? How did you
Same.
meet him?
During school.
Portland or Cortland Henry?
Met him in elementary.
How about Melly?
6th grade.
Trevon Glass.
Probably during school, 9th to 10th grade.
And his nickname was?
Fetty.
Jacoby Mills.
Since elementary.
Okay. And finally, Dontavius Withers.
Down here, Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. So you went to school with Williams, Thomas, Henry, Melly, Glass.
Bob Hiller, let me talk to you about this. Not only do we have testimony now, which is what the defense said, that YNW Melly was not in the Jeep at the time of the shooting, but that the prosecutor knew, never mentioned it to the jury. The lead detective never interviewed one of the people that was in the car, the red Mitsubishi. I am dumbfounded. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that's going to be a real important thing for the jury to consider here, because, you know, if they believe this witness, and a jury can always reject, you know, any witness's testimony as not believable or credible, but if they believe him, certainly he has some relevant information. There was no question he was there. He places the defendant elsewhere, and he says he told the police. You didn't hear that the police denied it, he told them, but there was no follow-up. So I think that the gaps here between the surveillance and the murder, that's going to have a question in the minds of the jury.
And indeed, the defense had argued that YNW Melly, Jamell Demons, was targeted because of who he was. The investigation was not fair. And now we know why they don't call an accident reconstructionist, because they're going to say that YNW Melly, have said, was not in the car. Anyhow, so much to digest. We're going to take a quick break here at Law and Climb. Please join us on the other side. Stay with us.
Hey, this don't make sense either, though. Thank you, sis. This don't make sense. How you gonna explain? That's science. You can't explain. Now he wasn't even in the car. Now he wasn't on the scene. Oh my Lord. This crazy. I don't know. I think the jury gonna come back fast, y'all. I'm gonna put a poll up. I'm gonna put a poll up. Thursday. We got a couple days. It's gonna be heated on Thursday. It's gonna be heated on Thursday. I wonder who gonna do the closing arguments. They should have the brother do it for Melly. They shouldn't have the other guy do it. He too wound up for me. He too wound up for me.
Run the city, we run the team.
Oh yeah, let me use this little moment to tell y'all, man. Next week, we're gonna have a lot of new, different content now that this trial is coming to a conclusion. So we can get back kind of on some other stuff. I got my girl Dopest Melanin, my co-host on Dopestology. So we gonna be doing some things next week. So you know, make sure y'all stay tuned. Keep supporting. I appreciate all the love, man. You guys are amazing. Hanging out with me every day. You know what I mean? So I appreciate y'all.
I'm so glad you're back to join us here with our live analysis on law and crime, because so much is happening in that courtroom. As you know, I'm Linda Kenny Bodden. Both sides rested today in the YNW Melly double murder trial in Broward County, Florida. Closing arguments are slated for Thursday. The 24-year-old Jamell Demons faces the death penalty in the 2018 shooting deaths of his two friends, Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas Jr. Demons and his co-defendant Cortland Henry claim they were the victim of a drive-by shooting, but the evidence suggested by the prosecution says that the shots were fired from inside the vehicle in the position where Melly was sitting. But now we're listening to the one and only defense witness who levied some bombshells in that courtroom this morning on behalf of the innocence claim of YNW Melly. Let's listen to Adrian Davis.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Everybody's talking. Moving. At any time during school, did any of you have any problems with each other?
No, not at all.
Would you label yourself good friends, associates, close friends, or what?
Good friends, close friends, best friends.
Now, did Melly also have another name besides Melly and Jamell?
Yeah.
What was it?
We only call them that, those crazy legs.
Crazy Legs.
Yeah.
And why was he called Crazy Legs?
Because he liked to dance.
And that's why he got that nickname.
Yeah.
Was Melly a big kid, normal size kid when you guys were in school?
It's small.
Did there come a time that Melly, and when I'm referring to Melly, I'm referring to this young man, Jamell.
Yes.
Did there come a time that Melly got involved in the music industry,
Yes.
specifically rap music?
Yeah, back then.
Now, you grew up where?
Vero Beach.
And do you still live up in that area?
No, sir.
Where do you live?
West Palm.
And by the way, what do you do for a living?
My granddad owns properties, rental properties and stuff, real estate. So we just cut grass, paint, whatever we need to do, keep the properties up.
I want to draw your attention to the year of 2018. Did there come a time that you came down to Broward County, Miramar, Florida?
Yes.
About when was that?
I don't remember exactly, but I want to say probably like September, July, something.
Okay. And where did you stay?
At Jamell's house.
Who else was living at Jamell's house when you came down in August or September of 2018?
Me, Jacoby, Melly, Sat, Juvie,
Juvie was Christopher Thomas.
yes, Tay, and Cortland.
And was Melly in the rap music business at that time?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Did you all get along together?
Yes.
Were there ever any arguments, fights amongst you guys?
No.
And is that where you met Dontavius Withers?
Yes.
And does he have a nickname?
Tay.
Who was paying the bills at the house?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Melly was.
Let's go to the day of October 25th, and so you have an idea where I am. This incident that we're here on occurred in the early morning hours of October 26th. Okay? And I'm referring to the shootings of Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas. On October 25th, the morning of, and during the day, what were you doing?
Just chilling at the house, hanging, smoking and drinking.
Who were you smoking and drinking with?
Jacoby, Tay, everybody who usually be at the house.
Okay. Williams?
Yeah.
Thomas?
Yes.
Portland Henry?
Yes.
Trevon Glass?
Yes.
Dontavius Withers?
Yes.
And were there plans to go to a recording studio that evening?
Yes.
Did you in fact go to the recording studio?
Yes.
And that was after you all were, for lack of a better term, smoking dope, weed,
Yeah.
correct? And having a few drinks?
Yeah.
What was the drink of choice, out of curiosity?
Hennessy.
Hennessy.
Yeah.
Who all went to the studio?
Me, Jacoby, Melly, Sat, Juvie, Cortland, Trayvon, and Tay.
Okay. Do you all go in the same car?
No.
Okay. Going to the studio, approximately what time did you get there?
I don't remember.
Was it during the day or at night?
At night.
Did you go in the same car, or were there two cars?
We took 2 cars.
What type of cars were they?
A Jeep and a Mitsubishi.
What color was the Mitsubishi?
Red.
Will you tell this jury who got into the red Mitsubishi to go to the studio?
Me, Jacoby, Tay, and Fetty, Trayvon.
Okay. And who got into the Jeep to go to the studio?
Melly, Sack, Juvie, and Boyd.
Who drove? Do you know who drove the Mitsubishi to the studio?
Tay.
That would be Dontavius Williams?
Yeah.
Do you know who drove the Jeep to the studio?
I think Boyd did.
Okay, that would be
Courtney, yeah.
And what was the purpose of going to the studio?
To make music.
Did anyone fall asleep at the studio?
Yes.
Who?
We all did.
That was from the day of smoking weed and having a few drinks.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Did any arguments occur between any of you at the studio?
No, not at all.
Did there come a time that you all left the studio?
Yes.
Did you leave the studio earlier than what was scheduled?
Yeah, I believe so. So we were all in there asleep.
Will you tell the jury who got into the red Mitsubishi?
Me, Jacoby, Trayvon, and Tate, Dontavius.
Okay. Do you know who got into the Jeep?
Cortland, Jamell, Sack, and Judy.
Where were you going? Did anyone fall asleep in your car?
Yeah, we about all did except for the driver.
Did there come a time that you were woken up before you got to the house?
Yes.
What happened?
We pulled over, and that's when Melly got in the car with us.
Do you know where you pulled over?
And I don't really remember.
Were you woken up?
Yeah, but
Why?
it was like, because I was getting pushed over a little bit.
Okay. And are you 100% sure that this young man got into the red Mitsubishi?
Yes.
What happened to the Jeep?
I think they just kept going.
Where'd you go? Did he have to unlock the door?
Yes.
Do you know who has the keys to Melly's house on October 26th in the early morning hours?
Jamell and Borton. They the only one who had keys to the house.
Okay. Did you have a key to the house?
No.
Did Williams have a key to the house?
No.
Did Christopher Thomas have a key to the house?
No.
Did Trevon Glass have a key to the house?
No.
Did Jacoby Mills have a key to the house?
No.
And how about Dontavius Williams? Did he have a key?
No.
Okay. So the only two people you know who had a key to the house was this young man
Yes.
and Cortland Henry.
Yes.
Did you see this young man unlock the door of the house?
Yes.
Who was the last person to get out of the red Mitsubishi to go inside the house?
Trayvon, he was in the cockpit asleep.
He was in the car asleep when you got to his house?
Yeah.
Did you see where Melly went?
To his room.
And where was his bedroom?
When you first walked in the house, came Mrs. right down the left.
Okay. This is a 1 or 2 story house.
2.
Where did you go? Where did Dontavius Withers go? Where? I'll bring it up.
Thank you.
Do you know where Dontavius Withers went?
To his room upstairs.
Do you know where Trevon Glass went?
To the room upstairs.
Do you know where Jacoby Mills went?
He slept on me.
So the 3 of you, the 4 of you went upstairs, correct? And this young man went into his bed.
We're coming out, and we're going to take you back in, but I wanted to introduce our guest because there's some very important points here. Bridget Williams, criminal defense attorney, has joined Bob Hiller with me to discuss this case. Bridget, welcome back. Bridget, let me just tell you, as a former prosecutor, as a criminal defense attorney, I shouldn't be, but I am astounded that the lead detective never interviewed everybody who was in the red Mitsubishi. There also can be considered possible victims. Certainly they have information. What are your thoughts about how this will affect the jury when Adrian Davis says that the person on trial, the young man, as the defense says, left the Jeep and entered the Mitsubishi with Adrian Davis?
Yes, yes, all of that, Linda. Well, I'll start by saying that the defense is making such a strong statement here about only having one witness, and that one witness is saying all of the direct things that we need to hear about Melly. It's not as convoluted. It's not as convoluted as the prosecution may want you to think. That's what they're saying here. And even with all of that, when this young man, Mr. Davis, is saying, well, Melly was in the car, the red Mitsubishi with us, he got out of the Jeep, and I tried to, tell the state about this, and they didn't even have the main detective to even come in and talk to me to further this investigation. It makes it look like the state is doing a sloppy job and they rushed to judgment in this particular case. And it even goes back to the defense's theory that they tunnel vision into Melly without doing all of their research.
Yeah, and Bob Hiller, talk about targeting. You want to say the car was targeted, and sure, somebody could target a car that Melly would have been, they thought Melly would have been in, doesn't mean that's admission. But targeting, the defense can now argue that Melly was targeted by the prosecution, can't they, with this witness? And I've been a big one, let me just say, to say the defense should put on a case, but they don't really need to put on a case after this witness. They don't need to put on any more of a case.
Well, and this is really a key alibi witness. And this is all about credibility. So if the jury believes this witness, Melly wasn't there when the crime happened, and game over. So, it's a great way for the defense case to sort of end this trial. But again, the key here is credibility, and his demeanor looked pretty good. I mean, the jury is going to be very careful in their assessment on this witness. They're going to watch to see whether it looks rehearsed, made up, whether it's inconsistent or whatever, and then they're going to want to see how cross goes with this witness. But assuming that he handles himself well on cross, and the jury finds that this testimony is credible, I don't know how the state is going to get around that in the jury deliberations, at least on beyond a reasonable doubt standard.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I don't know how the prosecutor is going to ever be effective in any cross when the prosecutor knew what he was going to say because she interviewed him and never told the jury about it. And that talk about credibility, prosecutors and defense attorneys have credibility issues in cases also. Anyhow, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll go right back into that courtroom to continue to hear the testimony, the bombshell testimony of Adrian Davis, which tends to exonerate YNW Melly.
Right, Nate. Yeah, that's what I've been saying, bro. It's weird to me. You see how she is? Soon as she get up there, she like, oh, now she's saying bombshell testimony. I don't know what the bombshell. Why wasn't it bombshell testimony when Travion Glass got up there and said what he said? Now all of a sudden it's bombshell testimony. Well, it wasn't bombshell testimony when he said, "Oh, I saw." And this is a dude he knows since they was young too. Oh, I saw him at Frito Banks' house with different clothes on than he had. Like, this shit weird. I mean, it just is what it is. Sometimes, it seemed like as
the defense in the
I guess they had to start
YNW
over
Melly
too
case
after playing that
started their
documentary
case
video
this morning
earlier.
with one witness, a very concise defense, but a
Girl, hush. You be quiet. No.
Mitsubishi the night the shooting.
Nah, but they had to restart their stream too. When they played that documentary, the Melly people got that thing copywritten up.
Cross-examination. Let's see what he had to tell this jury.
Yes.
Rephrase.
How many people went upstairs to go to sleep?
3.
And you?
Yeah.
That would be.
And then what friends ain't never got into it before? Y'all known each other since grammar school? And y'all ain't never gotten to know. Come on, man. Do that even make sense?
Okay. And Melly went to his bedroom?
Y'all, some of y'all known each other since elementary school, and y'all ain't never got into
early
it.
morning hours.
That was
that
his
you were
testimony.
woken up
Let's keep that in mind.
And heard some distressing news.
Yes.
What did you hear?
That a second Julie was shot.
When you heard that,
Since grammar school. But y'all from the hood.
did you see Melly
All
in
of
the
this,
house?
y'all ain't never got
Yes.
into it, but we just saw text
Did you
messages
see
between
Melly
y'all
how
getting
he
into
was
it.
dressed in the house?
You make it
Yes.
make sense.
What was he wearing?
Shorts and a t-shirt, I think.
Okay.
I guess because we black, we supposed to want all perpetrators to go free, whether they
Upon
did it or
hearing
not.
that,
I guess that's how.
that sack and
If you black and you feel
Julie.
like, oh, another black man
really
did
should
something,
use it.
you supposed to really want him to
Anthony
go
Williams
free
and
anyway.
Christopher Thomas were shot. What did you guys do?
We were already dressed and stuff, so we just left with Fredo's house.
Was anybody upset or crying?
Yeah, we all were crying.
Was this young man crying?
Yes.
Are you sure of that?
Positive.
And where'd you go?
Fredo's house.
That would be Fredo Bang.
Yeah.
Do you know Fredo Bang's real name? Frederick Gibbons, by any chance?
Yeah, I think I've seen it.
Did there come a time after you got to the house of Fredo Bang that Cortland Henry showed up?
Yes.
Did Cortland Henry tell you what happened?
Yeah, he said it was a drive-by.
When Cortland Henry arrived at Fredo Bang's house, was Melly there?
Yes.
Did you eventually leave that house?
Yes.
Approximately what time did you leave that house?
I really don't remember.
Where did you go?
Back to Jamell's house.
Who went with you?
Me, Trayvon, Jacoby, and Fetty.
By the way, when you first learned that Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas were shot at the house with Melly, did anyone get on their phone?
Yeah.
Did anyone have any problem locating their phone?
Yes.
Who was that?
Jamell.
You, when I backed up for a minute, you were telling the jury that you went back to Melly's house.
Mm-hmm.
You got an answer, yes or no? She
yes.
She can't shake down. How'd you get in?
The door was unlocked.
Were you aware whether or not Melly had a contractual agreement to do a video shoot that day?
Yeah, it was something like that. I know he probably would have lost a lot of money if he didn't go to the music video. He was upset.
Was Melly crying at Frito Bank's house?
Yes.
Were you crying?
Yes.
Because you all grew up together.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Now, did you in fact tell this what happened on October 25th and 26th to this particular prosecutor?
Yes.
Were any of us, any of the lawyers present?
Objection, relevance.
Same.
Did you tell the prosecutor when you spoke to the prosecutor? Were you under oath?
Yes.
Sworn to tell the truth?
Yes.
Objection, proper bolstering.
Sustained.
Are you 100% sure
Objection, asked and answered.
that Melly got into the red Mitsubishi to go home?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that this young man learned of the shooting of his friends at the exact same time you learned of it?
Yes.
And that was at the house?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that when people were getting on the phone,
So, Bob Hilla, good cross-examination is usually when you testify, but here this is their witness. This is the defense witness. It seems to me that the defense attorney is doing a lot of testifying for Anthony Davis.
Well, he's certainly getting away with a lot.
Adrian Davis, sorry.
And I think, what he's trying to do, too, is steal some of the thunder away from what he anticipates is going to be the state's attack on cross-examination. So he's trying to lay that groundwork there. But yeah, he's basically asking some pretty pointed questions. But the judge is giving him leeway on this. It is a murder trial. It's important.
Death penalty case, as a matter of fact. Yes. So Bridget Williams, again, he's trying to make the point that indeed the lead detective never interviewed him, one of the people in the car. The prosecutor knew and never told the jury. How does the jury view this type of testimony then? Do they feel deceived?
I'm going to say that this witness is the smoking gun for Melly's not guilty verdict if he's going to get one. The state had weeks and weeks and weeks of testimony where they didn't even bring up any type of direct information that led directly to Melly being guilty of these double murders. They just brought up information that was circumstantial. This young man speaks directly to what happened on the night of. He even gives specific facts of what they were doing, what Melly was wearing, where he went in the house, and what they did when they got home. And so if I were a juror, I would be looking at the fact that he is a witness who is speaking directly to the night in question. He is speaking directly to what happened and to what happened from his memory. He's the only witness who was present at the night in question. And so I would hold weight to his testimony. He comes across very credible to me.
Yeah, very, very interesting testimony. And now we know what the defense had up their sleeve and why they don't need to call 150 witnesses to present a case on forensics, because they have an eyewitness they feel is credible. Anyhow, we're going to take a break. But before we do that, we have an interesting report, an interesting package by our own Sierra Gillespie on a case you won't want to miss. Stay with us and listen.
Be looking at the fact that he is a witness who is speaking directly to the night in question. He is speaking directly to what happened and to what happened from his memory. He's the only witness who was present at the night in question. And so I would hold weight to his testimony. He comes across very credible to me.
Yeah, very, very interesting testimony. And now we know what the defense had up their sleeve and why they don't need to call 150 witnesses to present a case on forensics, because they have an eyewitness they feel is credible. Anyhow, we're going to take a break. But before we do that, we have an interesting report, an interesting package by our own Sierra Gillespie on a case you won't want to miss. Stay with us and listen.
Oh my God! Wow! Yeah, that's definitely a lie. Nah, you right, bro. The commentary seems one-sided. It seemed that way. It has seemed that way since the jump. It seemed very one-sided. The commentary. It's like, oh, the prosecution didn't do. I will say, what's her name? Terry Austin. She did say that Detective Moretti held his own on the stand. They tried to get him ruffled, but you know, this case just got me so kind of thrown off by like just people in general reading the comments, and it's just kind of wild. It's kind of wild, bro. But yeah, I think we're gonna skip the jury instruction. I might come back for that. If not, I'm gonna jump on tomorrow. We'll get into some other stuff. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. You know how we get it, man. It's one love and no love. Nobody told you they love you. I love y'all, and I will see y'all tomorrow.
We run the city. We run the